I am currently almost at the end of what is called the cryptic protocol from the hybrids about 700 years in the future. So during this process, I was hoping to at least get a visual of Kernanos or any of the nature spirits, and I have yet to get a visual. What can I do to increase the chances or the probabilities of actually seeing these nature spirits? Thank you.
Very good. We would begin by saying that to increase the probability of seeing this phenomena, you must release your insistence to do so. It is a very simple formula, but the more you want to see these phenomena in a kind of way that would validate your path, the more paradoxically you create a kind of constraint around or through which these phenomena cannot reach you. So the first stage or first step would be to let go of any and all insistence. And we might add to that you may be perceiving these phenomena in ways that are not perhaps what you expect. You may perceive them through the heart or through your feeling, through vibration. You might not always be getting visuals. So pay attention to other channels of communication besides the visual one and notice subtle changes and develop your ability to interpret feeling vibrations and feeling tones as messages, as points of connection to the multidimensional aspects of who you are and your multidimensional universe. And we might add, to jog your visual sense, you may consider creating, perhaps physically, imagery, translating these feeling tones into drawings or pictures or digital art, or perhaps some kind of other artistry, be it physical construction. You might create a collage. You might play around. Now you have, with the advent of AI, the capacity for the creation of much imagery. Therefore, use your physical tools to construct the simulacrums that will help you to reach further into these vibrational planes. But consider that you have many more senses besides the visual one. Tune yourself to your vibrational sense, to your ability to sense and translate and communicate by feeling tones, by vibrational patterns. And then in time, that may lead you to the opening, to the perception of light and color, and the translation of vibrational patterns into visual representations. Does this make sense?
It does make sense. And so far, I have felt and sensed the other beings, but not seen them with my eyes. So that's why I wanted to increase that perception, that acuity.
Very good. It will come in its own timing. You cannot push the river. It will flow of its own accord. Therefore, relish in the way in which the contact and the communications do happen, and do not try to rush, for that actually creates more time. Paradoxically, when you accept things exactly as they are, so too can then new information and new experience flow in, because you have used up that particular moment for what it is fully and completely. The paradox is to not try, but simply to be and to accept. And through the beingness, paradoxically, that creates the momentum for these kinds of experiences to enter into your visual space. Is there a particular reason you are wanting it to appear visually as opposed to vibrationally?
I'm just so used to seeing things, opening my eyes and seeing things and interpreting with that sense. So it would be nice to have that continuation of it.
Indeed. You may play around with different tools and permission slips for developing spiritual sight. For example, very peacefully looking at patterns in rock, allowing your mind, your physical mind, to relax. You may notice different patterns within the rock begin to emerge, and turn on your psychic mind, and you may start to see different patterns of animals and different scenery opening up. You may likewise, on days where there are clouds passing in your sky, looking up at the sky, relax again the physical mind, open your heart, and notice if the cloud shapes begin to speak to you in symbolic terms. You may too, within the cloud patterns, see and intuit different symbols coming to you. Likewise, even in your physical environment, this is something the channel has noticed as his sight has opened up. Even looking at patterns within tiles, you see these patterns that when you gaze at them without any particular insistence, the patterns will begin to reveal within them symbols. And of course, you will discover there are many, many ways of practicing this particular form of accessing your visual sense. We simply named 3. You may find more. But the idea is when you see a chaotic pattern in nature, to gaze upon it, and from within that seeming chaos, patterns will emerge, symbols will emerge. And you might even go a step further at some point and inquire a specific question, and then look at these seemingly random patterns, and different symbology may come to you. Does this make sense?
Yes, yes, it does. Thank you.
My question is kind of a general question. While we're creating our reality, we sometimes get into a rut or fall into a habit that is not serving us. Do you have any advice or practice to break the chain and get ourselves to move in a different direction?
Very good. In such cases, we suggest the investigation of your motivational mechanism and the beliefs that are generating said experience. For when you do not move forward at times that you might wish you did, you may have beliefs to investigate that are telling you that moving in said direction that you prefer to go in would be more painful than remaining where you are. And many people in your world decide to stay where they are because they are simply defining moving forward or moving out as more painful. There is more fear around the unknown than the known. Thusly, in your world, you have the humorous expression that people like to choose the devil they know versus the devil they don't know. While we don't particularly prefer that kind of terminology, it does make a point. Thusly, use those periods in your life, the crest and the trough. When you're in the trough, use that to, well, first of all, relax. Perhaps you have some negative beliefs around simply slowing down. Many people in your world believe that you must be go, go, go all the time, always riding the peak, always peak performance. However, there is great value in slowing down. There is great value in sometimes taking a nap and relishing simply in being and not always in doing. So it may be as simple as a kind of resistance to the trough. Other times it might be, as we began speaking, a resistance to moving forward or moving out. And this too, you can investigate. What am I afraid would happen if I move in the direction that I say that I prefer to move in? Usually when people ask about being in a rut or being stuck or seemingly being immobilized, it is because they have a preference and yet lack the physicalized action to make it so. Therefore, investigate. Do you have an inhibitory belief matrix that is telling you to stay put, to stay where you are? It is nice and safe here. Don't rock the boat. Or perhaps fear of the unknown. What will happen? Perhaps some ideas of living in an unsafe universe. So investigate those beliefs. Is there anything else you would like to expand on this?
It's just looking into the belief systems, things like that. Is there any practice or something that we can get ourselves to nudge in the other direction? We know that what's causing it, but it's just getting ourselves out of that habit. It's more of a habit or a that's not serving us now. We need to move. Is there a way to get yourself moving in that other direction? Go meet that other devil that you haven't known yet.
We did not hear the last sentence.
To go meet that devil that you haven't met yet.
Ah, yes. First of all, looking at the definition of a habit is something that is unconscious. However, as soon as you put your finger on it and you say, oh, I am doing this, well, it is no longer unconscious. You have brought it to your conscious awareness. Thusly, it comes back to redefining it. It is a choice. And when it is a choice, it is in your power to change. When it is defined as a habit, it is something that seems to happen without your agency, without your choice, without your power. Therefore, shifting your perspective to recognize that it is not a habit, it is a choice because you are aware of it, you are doing it, and you are aware of it. And then ask yourself, well, why am I making this choice? And start investigating. But you must take the power into your own hands and not give your power away through definitions that seem to suggest that you have no power, that this is something happening to you. Does that make sense?
It does. And I appreciate the answer.
And if you want to shake things up a bit, we might consider acting in an arena that is different from the particular challenge you find yourself in.
How so?
For example, let us say the challenge is something at your day job, or maybe it's in your relationship. And instead of trying to make change in that arena, you simply go do something very different, something out of your normal habituated patterns of behavior. Simply do something you would not normally do. Maybe it's something as simple as you perhaps like to watch a drama on your television or your streaming service, but today you'll do something different and you'll watch a comedy. Or perhaps it's on the weekend or in the evening, you do a certain activity. Go do something completely different. Shake it up. Do something whimsical. Take yourself out of your so-called habituated mind state by doing something very different. Going to a different location. Doing something out of the ordinary. Something to break the trance of habituated motion in your life. However, it'll be much easier to shake things up in an arena that is unrelated to the particular challenge you're experiencing, because it will seem unrelated, of course, but the reason this will help your whole system is precisely because you are a whole being. And so any change in one part of your life will reverberate change through all aspects of your life. And you will touch into new energies, and you might suddenly get an insight into your challenge coming from a different frequency band, a different state of consciousness, because you are doing something different. So this can be kind of a sideways way of shifting yourself out of habituated mind states. Does that make sense?
It does, and it resonates. Thank you so much.
Very good.
Greetings to all beings. I'm curious, I've been advised a few months ago to reduce the amount of working hours that I was doing to clear the space so I can be open to receive energy, vibration from the cosmic forces and the earth and the elementals, basically to connect to the unified field in a different way. So I'm curious to have any of you beings' perspective on that, and if there's any advice you would like to provide me and the rest of the people here.
When we spoke earlier of honoring the crest and the trough and the high peak of peak performance, as well as enjoying the rest, the respite by being in the trough, we were very much also speaking to you. We felt your energy, and we will thusly encourage you to create opportunities in your life to experience what in physical terms may appear to be a trough, a period of decreased activity, a period of unplugging a little bit from your 3D physicalized, crystallized world, And this will give great opportunity for new energies to be born within you, that are already within you, that are longing for expression and for action. However, a period of integration and, to use physical terms, the allowance of the time for the seed to sprout, seemingly in the darkness, seemingly in a space of no activity, because the growth is as yet happening under the ground. Allow that time of gestation, germination, growth, and in time that energy will spring forth. And we have a pun that is intended, for it will be a springtime energy that will awaken within you and propel you towards action, towards the next wave of peak performance at a much higher peak than you could achieve if you push and continue to be fully active now. Therefore, while we often encourage action and the grounding of your energy through action, there are times when being is highly important. And as physical beings experiencing a time-space reality, honor the crest and the trough, the up and the down, the action and the seemingly non-action, the great activity periods and the periods of rest. You have this exemplified everywhere in nature. You have it in the phases of the moon, you have it in the phases of the day, you have it in the phases of the solar cycle. You have it in your natural circadian rhythm, where you sleep and you awaken. You consider that much action happens in the daytime and much rest and restoration happens at night, when paradoxically, actually, much activity happens at night, only to be vaguely reflected in the day. Therefore, embrace the paradox of non-action to create action. Embrace periods of rest, giving opportunity for new energies to sprout and in time spring into your awareness, into the realm of action, into the realm of physical crystallization.
So I had a couple of short dreams. In this dream, Dave Letterman has a box with very specific instructions, and he opens the box and pulls out a letter and says that his son is going to be on the show. And in the second short dream, my wife and I are standing behind the house. We look across the pool diagonally at the corner, and his son comes out of the trees next to the pool. So I interpret Dave Letterman with that big beard as some kind of archetypal god. And of course, I interpret the water as spirit, and I interpret the sun, of course, as Christ consciousness. So my question is, because Dave is a media or mass event figure, is this dream telling my wife and I about some kind of event that's coming with mass consciousness, or is this telling us something about I'm sure it's telling us something about ourselves, but I'm very curious about, is it something to do with the mass event?
Very good. Of course, as you know, dreams have many, many layers at which they can be interpreted, and you might have 5 interpretations, and each one of them may be correct in their own terms. Thusly, allow yourself to see your dreams as carrying multiple messages or letters with multiple meanings. Thusly, we appreciate the humor of your dream construction, that Mr. Letterman is opening a letter. And the sun, while it might be interpreted in a variety of ways, perhaps there is a message that is being given to you from other levels of consciousness, from mass levels of consciousness, something about birthing a new idea, which you may then construct in your physical world. So consider the question whether there is something within you that longs birth or reemergence or first-time emergence into your world, perhaps a project or an idea that longs for construction within your physical matrix. So that would be one suggestion from us as to one particular level and layer of interpretation. That certainly does not invalidate other interpretations. For all dreams are messages or letters from many layers of consciousness and can carry many, many multidimensional meanings simultaneously within each symbol. Does that help?
It most certainly does. Thank you.
You have expressed how tiles and forms speak all the time to you. How can we tune into those things? Is it a matter of creating some calmness so that we can really pay attention to what's in front of us?
It is a kind of relaxation of the acutely physically focused physical mind. Your physical mind has been trained to operate at very specific frequencies so that you can plug into your physically focused civilization. Thusly, it is a kind of expansion of that focus, which is a kind of relaxation, relaxing that physical mind. You might consider dropping your awareness more into your body, into your breath, allowing that mental construct to relax so that you can begin to perceive the shapes without the mental noise and commentary running in the background or attempting to interpret what you see. It is a kind of unfocusing. It is, in truth, focusing into other bands of consciousness. However, your physical mind will grasp it most acutely as a kind of unfocusing so that you can refocus. In your 1990s, you had a particular art form which was digitally generated kind of patterns that when you look at it, you do not really see anything but many splashes or circles of color. However, when you focused your eyes by unfocusing on what you see before you, some of you were quite skilled at this, you would all of a sudden see a three-dimensional image imprinted into the two-dimensional art through the use of perspective. Some of you may remember this, or you may simply look it up on your internet. This is the kind of unfocus and refocus that is required. So you can play with that. When you look at any seemingly abstract, haphazard patterns within nature, allow your mind to unfocus. You have an expression in your world that you must not so much learn new things, but unlearn what you have already learned. Much of this is not learning something new, because these abilities are inherent within each and every one of you. They are not extra sensory perceptions. They are simply sensory perceptions you've been trained away from recognizing as real or valuable in your world. So it is more an unfocusing, it's more of an unlearning, and it's more of a letting go of a habituated state of mind to allow what is already a part of you to speak to you through symbols and through visual imagery. Now, we would also speak to the idea of free will very briefly. You might use the analogy of, since we are communicating from the time-space coordinate of Silicon Valley, we will use the analogy of a video game developer. A video game developer creates a kind of theme, a thematic exploration, creates a kind of world, a digital world, places into it certain kinds of challenges to be overcome. So it has a specific theme. And consider that you are like the game developer, developing the world, developing certain sets of challenges, certain themes of exploration within that playing field. And this is created from your free will. This is your soul level. And then, from a free will choice of the soul level, the video game developer level, you then choose to play the game. You enter the game as a character within the game. And there is a certain degree of amnesia that is your free will choice at that higher soul level to explore and experience, so that you forget that larger picture that you are the creator of the game or the theme of exploration. And then as the character, you have that rip-roaring adventure of moving through the game and being surprised by those things that are known to you at other levels. And within the game, you also have free will to move through the game in whatever attitudes that you choose, moving in different directions. You have many probable choices through which you can explore the challenges set by your soul at the higher level. However, you are seemingly constrained or limited by the free will choices made at the soul level to move through a particular theme of exploration. However, within that, you have tremendous leeway in how you choose to explore, how you choose to play the game. And we could expand on this further. However, in the interest of time, we may leave it at that. Consider you have much free will existing at many levels. At the soul level, and then at the character level, playing the game, you have much free will in terms of how you explore. Now, we will end with one last little point to tickle your minds and your hearts a little bit. Consider that you often frame how you understand things in a time-space reality format. Therefore, you naturally conclude through your physical mind that the soul level happens prior, the development of the game happens prior to the character entering the game. However, this is not so. Time is simultaneous. Therefore, let us put it in these terms. The contracts or the themes are being written while they are being played. They are being written in the moment, for they cannot be written in the past. There is no past. There is only the eternal now. Thusly, are you entering a state of consciousness as a civilization where the writing of the contract or the writing of the theme can be amended, even from the character level. However, in the infinite wisdom of the soul, certain parameters will be kept in order to create the particular experience of moving through the challenge. But there is a lot of leeway. There is a lot of give and take. You are not bound ahead of time, so to speak, because everything is happening in the here and now. And you have much power within the present moment. The contracts are being written now as we speak. So play with that a little bit, and we hope that helps.
Thank you so much. Beautiful message.